Please.
Thanks, Josing. Okay, thank you all for coming. Try to make it a little bit less formal. So my name is Man Kyu. The fancy title, basically, I teach the CIO program at the Institute of System Science. One thing I'd like to understand is who am I talking to? So can I find out who are you all IT people? Who's an IT person or think they're an IT person? Think. Who thinks? Okay, yeah. All right. IT people. Okay, the rest of you are user side. Are you all user people? You're nodding your heads, okay? Raymond, you're raising your hands both times, so you're half user, half...
User.
Okay.
Think that.
Okay, anybody here from a vendor? Cloud vendor? Cloud vendor like Salesforce, Amazon, IBM, any of these people? Pretend to be? Okay, anyone? Any type of vendor? So you're all from user organizations. Okay, good, because then I tell the truth, the whole truth, and never mind. Yeah. The advantage of getting academic is that we don't really care about too many things like this. So basically, as Yao Sing said, I was spent some time in NLB, and as part of my duties, I did look at the cloud and look at a few different things. And over the past few years, I've taken a particularly different perspective of cloud. So let me just start off first by, the same old thing here. That's what happens when you had this up for too long. Is it running? Okay. You all know what the cloud is, right? It's been hyped for so long that you should all know what this is. And besides, they've been having this talk for the last year already. So if I do another, what is the cloud problem, you're all going to kill me. So you all know what the cloud is, right? You're all nodding your head, okay? So this is the cloud. So tell me, so you have these three columns here. What are these three? Which one's the cloud? So we make it interactive. It's 7 p.m. after dinner or before dinner, right? So which one is the cloud? Left, right, or center? Who says left? Nobody. Who says right? Okay, the rest are in the middle. And who says in the middle? Okay, no bad. Interesting. But basically, you can think about it is that you've seen all the stuff, things in here. That's do it yourself. Your own data center. Most of you not that big, a little bit smaller, right? And that, of course, is your typical outsourcing model, right? Where you're paying a professional you insource a professional or you outsource your IT, right? Outsource model. And this is basically the cloud, right? So you all understand what the cloud is. Okay, now let me look at this one. How many of you drove here? Okay, about half of you drove here. Okay, so how often do you drive your car? Raymond, okay, I'm still know your name.
Every day.
How many hours in the day?
Not enough.
How many minutes in the day?
Maybe about one hour.
So 1 hour out of 24 hours you use your car.
Yeah.
So 23 hours you park your car.
Somewhere.
You park your car basically, right? Sounds familiar to some of you now about server utilization, right? Okay. And do you have running costs for your car? Once you bought the car, you still must have running costs, right? You pay insurance, you pay ERP, you pay this, you pay that. Sound familiar? Operations, right? Car breakdown, what do? You fix it yourself, right? No, okay. You send it to a professional outside, right? Go to workshop. So slightly different already. You're not 100% like your own IT. You're like the middle column from just now, right? Okay? So consider this. So you buy your own car. Right? It's same, this is exactly the same as just now. Same one, right? This is called I buy my own car. These two columns. This one here is called when it breaks down, I fix it myself. Don't laugh, I used to do this, okay? When you were a poor student, cannot afford anything else, you fix your own car. Yeah. And this is what most of us do. When it breaks down, we pay professionals to fix it for yourself. Okay? So what's the cloud model? Take taxi lah, right? Or MRT or bus or something. Is this new to you all? No, right? All of us have made this choice, whether we buy a car, pay lots and lots of money to government for pieces of paper, or else we take public transport or we take a taxi. So what does this mean? No such thing as a cloud, right? Nothing new about the cloud. We've done it before. We have our business models. You rationalize this yourself, right? costs me money to buy a car, I get some level of convenience, it's my own car, there's no smell of a cigarette smoke of the driver smoking, nobody threw up on New Year's Eve in my back seat of my car unless it was me, right? So, you have certain advantages to having it, but you park your car for 23 hours of the day. Sometimes in expensive places like downtown. Correct? So, you take a taxi instead. Don't worry, you have a professional taxi driver who hopefully is awake. You have maintenance by NTUC or ComfortDelGro, whatever it is, who are presumably professionals, right, maintain your systems for you. So this is the cloud model. Somebody handles everything else for you. True, right? Nothing new with the cloud. So basically, you've been there, done that. Right? And this is all I'm going to say of the cloud. You all understand the cloud. Yeah? Nothing new about it. So as a customer of this kind of a cloud, I'm not too worried about trying to justify what is a cloud, what ASS services you have, right? ASS or AAS, same thing. What platform as a service, information as a service, data as a service, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Ultimately, we're familiar with what it is. Okay? What do we as customers, whether as a government customer, as a small company, as a large company, there are various things that we think that are important, and we've looked at it. So what I want to cover in this talk really is the kind of things that we've been, because as major issues, right? So the way you can think about this from as a user point of view or IT people point of view is, these are kind of the major issues. I had a down list of 12, but over the time talking about these issues, realized that most of two or three of these things are not that important. So I down more or less to these 9 that I think make a significant difference, that we have to ask questions of ourselves if you want to embark on a cloud journey. Right? In other words, whether you want to take taxi or take car. Okay? First one, of course, is called security. That's always been a bugbear. When you go to a cloud conference and you ask people what are the top 3 issues, you know the answer, right? Security, security, and security, right? And that's always been the issue. So the question comes back to you is, sorry, this is just filler slide. Right? Back to my taxi example, right? How many of you have taken taxi before? And you ever talk business in the back of the taxi? How many have done that? Discuss business in the back of the taxi. And you all made sure taxi driver was deaf first, right? Before you talk. Right? No, right? So what are we so concerned about? Security. Security is not in the computer. That's called technology. Security is in the people. And we're not very secure ourselves. Okay? That's a major thing to think about. Security is not in the computer. Okay? How many recognize this thing called a PABX? Shared service. Remember, you put your hand all the time. I know you put it next time. We know your hand is up automatically. Okay? Right? So PABX is shared. It's again a shared infrastructure. Rather than having one line per person, you basically have one line to a PABX and all the employees share the line. Sounds familiar? Higher utilization, lower wastage, right? Don't have to be sleeping 23 hours a day. Now this one here you all recognize, right? Every time I update this slide, it goes out of style very fast. Yeah, I had all the latest stuff, but it wasn't as nice as this. But you all use handphones. I'm sure you have at least one handphone each, at least one. Some of you have 2. Some people I know have 3, especially IDA people. When you talk on the telephone, right? Are you guaranteed? Do you ever do anything secret on the telephone? You know, like talk to your boyfriend, girlfriend, talk about things that you shouldn't be telling anybody, right? Confidential things, right? Have you ever conducted a HR interview over the phone? Alright, I have. Yeah, all this, is it very secure? No lah. Right? You ask Prince Charles, you ask all these celebrities, right? You ask news of the world people in jail now. They're very easy to tap, very easy to hack, and they're all using a cloud. Right? There are only a limited number of connectivity between us and US, us and Great Britain, whatever it is, and basically we're all sharing that common infrastructure. It's just that telcos call this thing a fabric, not a cloud. Right? Fabric actually a nicer term than cloud. Not so airy-fairy. Fabric a little bit more solid. So we actually have been using cloud technologies for many things that we do in business for a long time. And we get away with it. After this, don't go back and tell your legal all this, they make you all stop using telephone for business. Okay? And that's because they are not interested so much in things like this. Right? This is basically what I told you just now. You talk about all of these things here, you ask a typical IT vendor about security in the cloud, and they give you all of these type of things in here. File protect, database protect, app protect, data secure, e-safe, authentication, access management, all of these things here. This is what we call technology. That's not security. Okay? Security is about paradigm. And that is basically, how do you keep things safe? Right? Why do you think you can make a phone call and do a HR interview over the phone and nobody will know about it? Well, because there's about 2 billion phone calls made every day. Yeah, it used to be 10 billion, but now it's getting lower and lower. Out of 2 billion phone calls, you kind of assume that nobody will find your phone call, right? So it's safe, correct? So if I put my data up in the cloud among 500 million other people, why would they come after me? Why not you, or you, or you, or you, or you, somebody else? Right? There's a certain idea of anonymity, right? I'll give you the example. Since we're sitting in a library, this is something very valuable. It's a copy of the Gutenberg Bible. One of 15 copies worth about $1.5 million, but basically priceless. Where will you store this? Throw it in the biggest safe you can find, right? Right? This is what in IT people call perimeter defense and access control. Perimeter defense means very solid wall. Access control means only one person knows the combination. Okay? In Germany, they just take away the whole box. This is PJ. You put a box in there, people know where to put the bomb. They blow up the ATM and take the money. What do you know about ATM? You know there's money inside. Right? The one thing you cannot hide about an ATM is the fact that is, hey everybody, money inside, come and steal. Right? That's what ATM tells you. Okay? So where would you hide a book? You put it in the safe, everybody will know, important thing, come and steal. I stick it in here. I take my book, I stuff it somewhere in here, can you find it? Yeah, serially, one by one, go look through this, right? Over how long? Become a combinatorial problem. How long will I take to run through this entire library? Start from upper left, go to bottom right. Sure to hit it sooner or later. By that time the police will come already. Right? So you have a different idea. The point here is a different model of security. Right? You have access control versus anonymity. When you go into the cloud, you're exchanging one set of risk, perimeter defense, for a different set of risks, anonymity, as well as things like encryption and all the other technology you talk about. Is it safe? 100% safe? No. Neither is your safe. Right? People think, you keep thinking that I have new risk. It's not so. You have different risks when you go to security, and that's a different thing from the cloud. Right? On one side of the cloud, you have all your things that you know about. Doesn't mean it's non-existent. Something new doesn't mean it's more than this. Right? It just means it's different. There's something to think about when you go onto the cloud. Okay? By the way, I want to ask questions, Second thing, of course, when you have security, the next thing people talk about is privacy. So you all understand this big picture, right? Most of you, in Singapore at least, don't know about some of the people who come from overseas, have no concept of the word privacy. In Singapore, you want to find out private information about people, you have a lucky draw. In this lucky draw, you ask them your name, IC, telephone number, number of children, sex, everything else you will put down there, everybody happily will fill up for you. Famous Singapore way of doing things. To win what? Win back how much money you spend at NTUC. How much did I spend at NTUC? $11. Right, that's why I gave up all my privacy for $11. I still can't believe I did that. Yeah? Privacy. Yeah? What do people do with privacy? You basically don't know you have it until you lose it. So Facebook, when you are a nice student, put all the pictures up about all the parties that you had. right? And then when you want to look for a job, and when people Google you or look up on Facebook, all they see is that you party, never work, right? There's no more privacy already. Okay. More scary than that, here's a company that you may all have heard of. This is the good old days. This is old. I'm very old. This is very old. I'm saying this because this will happen in the past, may happen again in the future. You're not doing it now. There's a guy called Dave, or Dan, right? They pick all his friends. So you all have friends, right? On all your Facebook. How many of you use Facebook? The rest of you are lying. Okay, good. Right? All your friends, and they spam you. They take your photo and your friends, and then they tell you some advertising, and they take your photo with some advertising, and they send to all your friends. Right? They do it now, but now it's a link. And you read now on your Facebook now, it says blah 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 likes this, blah blah blah. Your friend likes this, all your friends. A, B, C, and D like this. Or in Google, you all +1 it lah. It's +7, +8 among your friends, right? But basically, they did this without your permission. They took your photograph, right? Which, by the way, they can legally do on the terms and conditions which you didn't read. And they send it to all your friends. Yeah? So now you're basically using your picture to spam your friends. And the likelihood, of course, is that see your picture, I'm more likely to read it than not. Which is what they're trying to do lah. Okay? Oops. So basically, the moral story is read the terms and conditions. So under the Facebook terms and conditions, everything you post on Facebook belongs to them. They promise they won't tell anybody else. But you trust them or not? Right? Okay? Ning. Ning was a platform for building portals and so on. I used to use it. It was free. Right? One day they sent an email out saying that everything you put in there, I will own forever and ever, and have a full commercial, non-exclusive license to do whatever I want with your content. Yeah, that was the day I closed my Ning account and deleted Ning from my bookmark file. The problem was I cannot delete what's already on Ning servers. Yeah? So to this day, I'm still waiting for pictures of mine to come out that I may never see again.
If you share with us timeline, it's coming up.
Timeline of these type of things. These things are all changing over time. So Facebook just changed its policy.
The timeline.
Sorry.
Facebook, I think there's a timeline. They're going to introduce it soon.
Yep.
Track everything's chronological order.
They've been doing something like that for some time, but I'm not too sure what you're talking about. I stopped using Facebook some time ago. Yeah, got too scared. No, actually I went to Google+. How many of you actually read the terms and conditions of these things that you signed up for? These are all cloud services, by the way, right? Email in the cloud, social in the cloud, right? Variety of nice things in the cloud. You all click accept terms and conditions, right? Yeah. And many of you don't realize that you've just given away your life. That you're given the right to do anything you want, and all you have is, I promise to look after your data very well, until they lose it. At which point they say sorry. What are you going to do? Nothing, right? It's free, what? You didn't pay anything for it. You can't claim any damages. Too bad. Okay, but that's the biggest issue. Third one is governance. Right? These are some of the big issues. So what's governance? Governance is basically, well, data governance is my favorite. Is a single thought of truth. If you are moving, okay, let me ask you this question. If you are IT people or user person, why do you have IT in your organization? Because it's fun to have servers in the back room? Or if you're living overseas, servers generate a lot of heat and therefore keep you warm? Right? Well, the reason why you have servers is that you move data around. If you have no data to move around, you don't need an IT system. Correct? And the data, of course, should be business data. If you're just moving your Facebook account, you just use the cloud. Yeah. So, when you have data governance, the problem is that you want control of the data. And you put all your data on the cloud, whether it's something like Salesforce.com or Gmail or something else, you have no control over there. Yeah? If I have my email on Gmail, I don't use Google+, but I use all my social on Facebook. I have my professional social sharing on LinkedIn. I have 3 separate silos of information with much overlap. People I send email to are very likely in my LinkedIn, my Facebook account. They're all separate. Yeah? I used to have a picture sharing site on Sony Pictures. It was good, very nice. They had the first one to create a Java script that will upload your pictures automatically when you sleep at night. So we put up gigabytes of data went up there. All our friends were using it at the same time. We all index each other's photographs. Go there, here is A, B, and C having a party here that was beautifully annotated and indexed. Right? Then one day, Sony sent us email that said, we are shutting down the service. You have 30 days to take all your pictures out of it. So we asked, can we take our annotations out of it? No. Right? Annotations are are Sony's. They're on their platform. It just doesn't. How are you going to stick this annotation to a photograph? Can't I? So all our hard work and annotations all gone. No control. That's the reality of the cloud. No governance about this area. So that basically leads you to your nice model of cloud. This is what I stole from Amazon. Right, this is their picture of a cloud. Nice client, API cloud, execution cloud. Very nice model of what I call silos in the cloud. Yeah? What's your data? Amazon silo, followed by my Microsoft silo and my Salesforce silo and every other silo in the class. You got to decide, what's your architecture? Am I putting my silo here? Or basically, am I going to keep this in-house and have the rest of it up in the cloud? Right? That way I don't have, all my data is local. But then I got to look after it myself. Remember that one day auto repair for dummies? Now is keep your own data for dummies. Yeah? A little bit more, but then now whenever I do anything, all my execution, everybody can read in the cloud. Can I trust it? Maybe I should put it over here. All kind of over here. Right, the question comes of course then is, which of you are experts in architecture? Right, what should you be doing? Next thing of course, I'll come to architecture number 7. Okay, next one of course is legislation. Singapore very strong on legislation. Right, here's a fun story about legislation. Legislation, regulations, guidelines, standards. There's a company who came to Singapore to set up cloud services, and I was talking to them and they said Singapore has a requirement that all Singapore data must reside on Singapore shores. Sounds reasonable, right? They as a company however have best practice. All data center backup must be at least 200 miles away. So bit tough, Singapore not 200 miles Pedrangka, or else middle of the South China Sea. Right? We can't site a data recovery center 200 miles away from their primary site and still remain in Singapore. But so are you asking them, okay, I put one in Changi, one in Jurong. One Changi, one in Jurong. Right? But then it violates their best practice. Why 200 miles? When Fukushima had a nuclear meltdown, 200 miles away, data was safe. Yeah? If you are in Washington DC and you have a server in Washington DC, your minimum requirement is that you have it across the Charles River, about 60 or something, 300 miles away, right? That's kind of best practice that you've learned over the data center architecture or not data center design, where you keep your data at least 200 miles away. Yeah. Those are regulations. You have to be careful. You have to worry about such things. What do you do in this case? Yeah. This company in Singapore was backing up all this data to the US because they said that's the only way you can make sure it's safe. Therefore, no government organization could use it since you can't take the data offshore. Right? So your own companies need to have your own policy if you want to do this. Legislation is fun. Okay? Well, as I said, it's not a new issue. You've done outsourcing before, right? Yeah. Okay. Legacy. Legacy is the fact that really not all systems start fresh. How do you handle the past and how do you handle the future? Okay. So I mentioned my Sony photograph example, exactly like this, right? So now how do I take all my data of the Sony thing and stuff into Picasa? Pictures can, all the annotations gone, right? There's nothing at all that lets you keep everything that you've done everywhere. Nobody has a common standard. Amazon, Salesforce, Microsoft, Azure, IBM Cloud, everybody else has their own standards. It works for them and only for them. Great for the vendor to lock you in, but very tough if you want to share and intercommunicate among your cloud properties. How do you talk about it? It's not there yet. Okay? Stuff you put on the cloud, can you take off? Normally, yes. But can you take off everything? Maybe not. Can you also guarantee that you've taken everything out? So I put up a picture, I bring it back down, is it gone? Of course not. I guarantee you it's not. Right? You have the backups, right? You do your own backups. They also do backup. It's probably 100 copies of your data running around somewhere. Yeah? And you can never know that it's actually been deleted. Okay? It's too expensive to delete things, basically. Okay? Evolution. So evolution is cloud changes. How many of you how many use Microsoft Office? Word, PowerPoint, all of this? Quite a fair number of you, right? To use 2011? One person nodding his head. 2007? Oh, about 1/3. 2004? Few number of people. 1997? 97? Yes, yay! Okay, the last one I'm comfortable with using. This is 2010. Office 2010. It came on the Mac first before it came on the PC. Right? So, you all remember the thing called the ribbon? Right? On Office? Yeah? How many of you hated the ribbon? Be honest now. You all? The new one. You love the new one?
No.
You love the old one, right? Old one easy to use, right? Yeah. That's called evolution. You don't have a choice. Okay? When you have Microsoft Office on your desktop, you can change. You go to use Office 360 in the cloud, they change, all change. Okay? Google did that. Google very nice. Tell you, we are going to change. For a little while, you don't like it, you can click this button and temporarily have the classic view for a little while longer. Alright? But we're changing. Too bad. Google did that to you. This was Yahoo, also a few years back. Yahoo had their good old brainless web-based type email, and one day decided that, hey, everybody uses Outlook, so I must well make mine look like Outlook. And overnight they changed it. Yeah, it didn't give you a choice. Yeah. People who are used to this suddenly saw this, help, I lost all my email. Yeah. Right? Evolution not always good. If you're used to something, you don't necessarily want change. You go to the cloud, you don't get my choice. Right? You know Facebook has changed, right? So I used to use Facebook. I was very, very early user of Facebook. One of the reasons why I stopped using Facebook is I cannot figure out how to post anything now. I can't find the post-it button or the post-it link. Where it used to be, reach on the top there, it's not there anymore. It's not to me. I don't know where I start from anymore. Right? But I haven't posted anything on my Facebook. I can't find the post-it button. The only way I can post something on my Facebook is to use my phone, take a photograph, then say share Facebook, and it does it automatically for me. But I can't go onto a computer and actually put a photograph in it because I can't figure out the interface. Okay? What to do? Old people very dumb. Alright? So, feature or a bug? Okay? Who decides? You lose control. That leads you to a position, of course, of some of the controller. That's later on. Coming back to architecture. So I mentioned earlier is how do you architect? You want to move to the cloud. When you think of the cloud, how do you think of architecture? Architecture is designing the cloud. Yeah? How much you keep inside, how much you put out there. How do you keep what you have safe? How do you communicate back and forth? If I put all my data, all my customer data into Salesforce, can I make sure that I can pull the data off Salesforce back home if I want to quit? I no longer want to pay Salesforce any more money. Actually, you can. How often should you be doing this? Do you trust that Salesforce never goes down? That's a big issue. Architecture is design. So I'm going to put something up in here, let you all read for a second. Can you read or not? Can you see? Those of you who are blind behind, don't want to sit in front, want to sit far behind, cannot see. Okay, I read for you. While there are many strengths to network storage, failure modes, particularly in a multi-tenant environment of unknown workloads, is not one of them. Okay, how it's done. Multi-tenant block storage as a service over network to arbitrary operating systems with arbitrary file systems are asking for a world of pain when one sits burning in a kiln of fire. Okay lah. 1 gigabit per second at wire speed lets you move 0.4 terabytes an hour. Running a block storage service over a shared 1 gigabit per second network that never runs at wire speed will always limit your recovery time. Recovering a loon doesn't mean that the file system that is on it is okay. Having the file system be okay doesn't mean the data store is okay. How many of you understood what I just said? Anybody understood what I just said? Especially those behind that pretend to be IT people. If you don't know what I just said, none of you are qualified to design the cloud. Right? These are basically user comments on people who actually work with the cloud day by day. Yeah? So architecting the cloud is not as simple as just click, I accept the T's and C's I didn't read, pay my money with my credit card and use Amazon services. Right? You have to understand things about how the cloud works. Right? What is the difference between a loon, a file system, I don't know what a loon is, a file system and a data store. Right? You have no guarantees that your data is, the integrity of the data. Right? Even though the file storage the file storage system may tell you it's 100% safe. Your verification may tell you that all your files are not corrupt. But you don't know. You try to open the file and Windows says, Microsoft Word says, sorry, corrupted, cannot see. That's the only point you know that, sorry, my file is corrupted. The file system itself doesn't tell you anything. Neither does the cloud storage system. How do you guarantee integrity of your data? You can't. Basically, this is what basically is telling you. And this was basically commenting on Amazon architecture. Anybody Amazon here? I know there are 5 people who said they would sign up and didn't turn up. Okay, good. Otherwise, I'll ask you to defend yourself. Right? Here's another one. So there's basically good architecture. This is Miles Split. Unless the company, doesn't matter what it is. Basically, they built a system, architecturally, they architected a system in the cloud running on Amazon that is totally fail-proof. System go down here, system go down there, no problem. Okay? Some people can do it, some people can't. Anybody heard this company Magnolia? You did? You heard of it? Well, if you heard of it, it's good because it no longer exists. Right? In 2009, their servers went down and they lost all their databases. They also lost the trust of their customers, which means they lost all their customers. So it doesn't exist anymore. At least it no longer exists in its old form. It may be resurrected in its own name because a nice name like Magnolia probably will come back again. Okay? But the main idea is that if you don't understand architecture and you try to build your own systems in the cloud, it's tough. Right? So now I'm getting beyond the fun part from the beginning, right? Legislation, governance, all that, all very simple. Now I come to technical details, not so easy. Yeah. And the next thing I worry about, last 2 points, control. So control is what I said just now, right? When you move to the cloud, you give up control. Right? You're in Google, you're in Facebook, you don't control what you do. What's the upside on that? Well, you didn't pay any money. It's free. It's okay, I don't mind. Right? So you take the good with the bad. Alright? But you do have to give up a lot of things. And if you're willing to change your mindsets, when you put your data in the cloud, that's when new things can really happen. So you think about OneMap.sg. How many people know OneMap.sg? Alternative to Google Maps. Google Maps has large errors in there. Right? Those of you who try and find places in Singapore using Google Maps will discover that you might walk around in big circles because you're actually one street away from where you think you are. Yep. OneMap.sg is the base map layer put out by the Singapore Land Authority. Publicly can use. It is the authoritative database that determines the land use in Singapore, so it's much more accurate. Yeah? When SLA put out all this one map open to the public to reuse, basically you can mash up anything you want on top of one map. Right? It creates a whole new opportunity for many organizations. So right now, if you check the OneMap website, there are a lot of companies that have put services on top of it. Right? People, I think Temasek Poly, a few other polys have done it. Some companies have put in fundings all around it. That just really makes the fact that when you share data, you get a lot more than you give up. That's something you can think about. You have new business models, a lot of things here. But the difference is, of course, you've got to change your mindset from my data to our data. That's difficult for many of us who are a little bit older. Some years back, I was in a research organization. We did a study at a local polytechnic, and we talked to students there and asked them certain questions, like simple one. Example is, where are your photographs, right? And how would you answer? If I ask you where are your photographs, how would you answer? Picasa? Yeah, there's somewhere safe, right? One place, they're your photographs. Backups, okay. We asked this to these kids, they are polytechnic kids, and the answer comes back, my photographs? Oh, they're all over the place. There's some in my thumb drive, there's some in his thumb drive, there's some on his computer, there's some in the camera over there, some on his phone, some on my phone. They're all my photographs, just not necessarily residing on anything that I own. Right? It's a very different concept. Right? My photographs are on your phone? Okay, sounds a bit weird, right? My phone, my photograph, right? That's our thinking. Right? New generation of thinking. Some of you quite young, so maybe you all think that way too. Yeah? But after a while, if you stay in an establishment long enough, you also believe my phone, my photograph. Right? My organization, my data. Okay, so a different mindset. And a very different one when you think about the cloud. The cloud enables possibilities.